Hey everyone on the gram, we are doing the Property Duo live. This is also the last time you're going to see my throat on a live because Saturday is haircut day. So I'm going to come looking.
Oh man, really sad about that.
No, I'm not, mate. Everything can go
I
right.
am.
Well, sorry for your loss, yeah? Sorry for your loss. Are you ready, James? You're looking like you're doing something.
No, I'm ready, bro. I'm ready. I am ready. I'm raring to go.
Okay, perfect. Morning, everyone. So yeah, today we're doing episode... What episode is it? 14?
14, episode 14, yeah.
Episode 14. Thanks everyone for joining us on episode 14 of the Property Duo. Before we start, actually, someone I think literally this morning sent me a message on the Facebook, and it was a testimonial for the Property Duo. And James, I think you're gonna. It was mainly about you, so I don't know why I got sent it, but I'll read it anyway.
Who is it from?
Anonymous for public.
Are you serious? Oh,
hey
man.
Ted, your podcast with James on men's health blew my mind. I think it was mental health one, maybe we did. I listened to James talking and took me back to a moment in 2013 where he experienced something similar to what you were talking about. Thank God it never happened. He said, "You guys are real, honest, inspiring. Listening to you and James' advice on the podcast gives me hope that my dreams are in the making. Blessings."
Oh, wow. That's really nice, man. That's exactly what we strive to do, is just to kind of uplift, and, you know, if somebody takes something positive away from one of our shows, we're winning. We're winning.
100%, absolutely. So I thought I'd share that with everyone as some good vibes on a Thursday inside the Thursday morning. So
on the ones.
I can see James in a discotheque back in the day, you know what I mean, winding up. Wow, that's something. So today we're talking about property again. Can you believe it? I'm already bored about talking about property. Next week we can't talk about property. It's just unusual. Why are the Property Duo talking about property? So James, we're talking about something we both do. I do it exclusively. You do it as well as investing close from home. We're talking about investing far from home. There's a really common question that we both get asked, and I think it's naturally a question when you start out in property. People are like, I live in London, but I mean, I can't really invest in it, or maybe you can. You know, do I go further? How do I make it work? How do you manage? You know, I did it for Instagram Live the other day talking about my worst deal ever, and people were like, how do you manage the stress? How do you manage the distance? And actually, me and James had a chat last night. We thought this would be something really good to cover and hopefully helpful to people who are new and people who are experienced, because it's a decision that even like we both invest far from home. I'm sure there's days or weeks. I'm having a week right now where I'm like, why the fuck am I doing this? This is stupid. Let me just buy 12 more and then I can stop. Literally, I said yesterday, I'm buying 12 more. I'm done. Fuck this. Threw my toys out the pram. And I might stick.
Oh, hold on a second. Hold on. Somebody just said I'm echoing. Am I echoing? I shouldn't be echoing.
Oh, you know why? My headphones weren't plugged in. They were just put in.
Right, you're getting a slap when I see you.
No, you can't touch me because distance.
Not 2 meters away.
So right, before we get into that, James, before we get into investing from far, right, the juicy stuff, how has your week been?
Do you know what? My week's been pretty good. I've had a few ups and downs. I'm winning though. So I'll take you through the rogue HMO first of all. So the house is now fully under my control, which I'm really, really happy about. Like I said to you last week, I actually realized that the tenants are actually really nice guys, you know, just working hard contractors, come home, literally eat, sleep, have a few beers on the weekend, just normal blokes. So I actually took it upon myself to try and help them find places to move, because they're a little bit old school. They're not down with spare room. They're not down with open rent and all of this. And they're quite used to walking into an agency and being ripped off. So I helped them find some rooms. I actually put a post out on open rent, which is great. Spare room. And within about 30 minutes, I had people just messaging me saying, yeah, we've got 3 double rooms for the last 3 tenants. And if they take them, you'll get a nice little kickback. I'm thinking, what? I'm trying to help these guys out, and I'm getting a little kickback as well.
You love a kickback,
that's pizza. Wait. We'll talk about that later. Well, that's the pizza money sorted for this Saturday. But anyway, I'm so glad. I got a phone call from them last night at 7 o'clock, and they said, James, we have signed up for a new room. So that was music to my ears. So I now have 1 tenant out of the 6 left that needs to move out by the 15th of July, and the skips are ordered. Everything is ready to go, man. That renovation is about to start. So that was a really, really, really cool positive. Update on the 4 houses that I'm buying. So last night, there's a little thing that just happens to pop up, just happens to pop up. So apparently there's a slight covenant on one of the properties that stops it from being rented as a multi-let. No, listen.
Typical. You just don't read legal stuff.
Listen. I didn't. It's not my fault. I paid someone to do this, and they spotted it last minute. It's not a problem though. It's not a problem. Apparently, it's a 30-year-old covenant, and it can't pass from buyer to buyer. And we're just arranging an indemnity policy this morning just to cover that, because that would be a disaster, wouldn't it? Buying a property that can only be put on a single let, and you're trying to convert it to HMO. I can see Safe laughing there in the corner because he's thinking, "You waste man, you walked straight into that one." But anyway, so that's a good thing. It's been highlighted. And you know what, Ted, you always talk about this, the power of your network. So that came about at about 8:30 last night. Straight away, I spoke to a couple of people that I know who have been in that situation, sent the message straight off to the agent, and overnight the agent's been able to get in touch with the seller's solicitors. They had a reply here this morning at 6 o'clock in the morning what they're going to do. So that just goes to show how keen they are to get rid of these places, sell them, and not get rid, but sell them. Yeah, everything's been addressed. So fingers crossed. I'm just doing one last check, and that is just to make sure the council are happy with what's been converted, and it's not no unlawful kind of conversion. Because the thing is, the people that I'm buying these off, they are, put it this way, they have been on the Times Rich list every year since 2013. I'll share this with you later on, and once everything goes through, I'll tell you who they actually are. And the HMO officer said to me, he goes, "Look, these guys are so damn powerful that we make exceptions for them." Now that got me worried, because I thought, okay, if you're breaking the rule for them, that must mean that if they've got something that's a little bit dodge, it might be able to pass for them. But if James comes along, they say, "Nah, brown boy, you ain't having this, mate. You ain't a top dog." So I thought, let me just double check that before I hand over the mullah, because once the mullah's handed over, I've managed to get the mullah back once when something went wrong. I'm not confident that it will happen this time. But apart from that, again, something we talked about, holding yourself accountable. I decided to hold myself accountable a couple of weeks ago, and contracted my personal trainer to get me back into shape, because Uncle James has been getting a little bit podgy recently, and he highlighted this as a problem for himself. And, one of my goals for this year was to be in the best shape that I can be in for myself, and just health purposes, so I'm not being an old fat dad for my kids, and just so I've got more energy. And I'm absolutely loving it. It's bringing back loads of memories from years ago when we used to train hard and we were training all the time, and yeah, really enjoying that. So those are the updates from me, Tedgy boy. What about yourself, mate? Your good self. What's happening with you?
Amazing. I've only blocked one person in the last week, so
wow, good on you.
Yeah, I know. I think the media has just quietened down. So I just noticed a decrease of opinions in the last week, actually. I don't know if it's related to we can sort of go out and the fact lockdown's basically over for everyone. I'm in Whole Foods, yeah, just for flour. I don't shop there normally yet. Yeah, I'm not on HMO money. And people are just like, I know we've got masks on, but there's like no distance. People are just chilling. I'm just like, it's not over yet. Like, can you just move away from me, please? Even in Whole Foods, that's where posh people go. You don't like, so I think people have been sharing their opinions less the last week, which has been quite nice. I think quite pertinent to the topic today. I've been very stressed out with, removing a builder off a job, but I'm still working with him on other jobs. I'm removing him because he's fired 80% of his team because they were crap and lying and not doing the right things. And then one of his ex-lads stole a boiler from my house. So
ripped it off the wall.
Literally, fat boy came in, took it off. He chipped my worktop, my marble effect worktop when he did it, and went. Now, we don't have evidence, but we have evidence, not enough to go to the police. But
is it on eBay?
No, listen, these lot are smart, man. They sell it behind they know what they're doing. But he basically gave himself away because he's thick. He's not very good at lying, so he kind of gave himself away basically. And we just know it's him because we know the whole story. He had access. Long story. So I had another builder go in who was going to take over the job, and I said, "Can you check the property?" He goes, "Oh, your gas man's got a lot to do." I was like, "Oh, he's basically finished." He sent me a picture of no boiler, just the hole for the flue, and I was like, "Bruv, where's the boiler?" I was like, "I swear there was a boiler there, because why is there a hole for a flue but no flue?" I was like, "Where's a fucking boiler?" So,
well, hold on, he nicked the flue as well. Fat boy took the flue as well.
Flue. It was a flue extension.
Good on him.
Bruv, it cost me like £100 extra for the bloody extension that we drilled through like 6 inches of Welsh stone for. And I was like, so I texted the main builder. I said, "Listen, the boiler's gone, yeah? There's no signs of breaking. No one's taken the copper pipes. Like, this is a, you know," and he was like, I was like, "We know who fucking took it, bruv. We know." So then we had a chat. We basically deduced, you know, we worked it out. And I basically said, "Look, your next invoice, you're getting £600 less. I don't care if it's you didn't do it. I know you'd never do that. But you're not getting 600 quid, bruv. So do one." He goes, No. You can't do that." He's not posh. He's not Boris. But basically, he owes me £600 of labour now, which he will be held accountable for, because you know what I'm saying? So I respect that he's done that, because it wasn't his fault, but it was his fault because of the beef they had. But anyways, I'm glad this workman is gone, because his quality of work and his attitude and his laziness was just idiot. And guess what? He was going to be the best man to the main builder, and yet he just stole from him. Can you believe people do that?
Hey, maybe he's going to give him a boiler as a wedding gift.
You're a dickhead. You're a dickhead. So now now I have to buy another boiler and get my boy Dave to fit it, who's D Ludlow, our friend, to fit it. So yeah, that's annoying. And then I've got another and so that builder who was meant to come and take over the job, he went and did some work for me in one of my flips that needed like 2 days of snagging, right? Anyways, he sent me pictures and of the work done for payment, and I said, you know, "Hey buddy, sort of 7 things are missing from these pictures. I haven't seen them, or they're not done. Obviously I need to see all the work on your spec that you created before I pay you." And he fucking kicked off. "You got to work on trust. I've never been asked for pictures of like sockets being fitted." I was like, if I'm going to pay you for what you've done, I have to be able to see it. And before he was like, "Oh, I know you're in London, so obviously I'll take pictures of everything. I'll be your eyes on the ground." I literally asked for pictures of like stuff that was supposed to be done. And I was just like, "Okay, I'm never working with you again then, prick." So yeah, it's weird, man. Like people want trust, even though they've seen that builders have done you wrong in the past. So I'm just I'm beefing all these builders, so I'm ready. And I've just got pictures, what you listen to off air, from one of my other flips on the market, of a pipe that's leaking and causing some stuff, which the agent was just like, "Oh yeah, you've got a leak, you've got a mark." Moron. So I sent my friend around to paint it, but it's not working. So yeah, I've got to get the builder around to this flip, which is a lot further away than most of my other stuff, which will detract from the other projects he's already late on, to get it done. And I think this leads us very nicely to investing from afar, because clearly I'm struggling with it. Now, if lockdown wasn't a thing and I could go to the investment area, you know, would it be easier? I would say, yeah, maybe 20% easier. I still have friends, you know, that we know in common who can go and check stuff and who will, but you know, it still isn't as easy as, "Oh, let me just pop 10 minutes down the road to my property and check it out and speak to the builders." And you know, if I had a house locally, would the boiler have been taken? I mean, probably not, because, well, we'd be in a totally different situation. You can't say, you know, things like that. But
dude, if you had a house locally, they would have took the windows as well.
Excuse me.
Forget the boiler.
Excuse me. I live in Richmond. No, joking. So, right, let's talk about investing from afar. James, how many miles away from your home is the place you invest?
It is 280 to 290 miles away, roughly.
Yeah, it's basically Scotland. Well, it is close to Scotland, isn't it?
It's closer to Scotland. Yeah, I have often been up to my investment spot and then gone off to Scotland because it was only like an hour up.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I've heard it's beautiful there.
Yeah.
280 miles. Wow, you really invest far. I invest 130 to 190 miles from my investment area. So not as far as you. Okay. So I think this sets the scene. How many properties do you have far away?
As of tomorrow, I will have the 4 houses, and then I've got the other 1 HMO that I've just finished up there. So it's a new patch for me.
Okay.
It's a new patch.
So I have 15 there, all single lets. Some are flips, some are single lets. And maybe let's start off with our own experiences about investing from afar. I think, James, tell me, in your experience so far, because I guess primarily you've been in the acquisition phase from a distance, and you've done a refurb or 2 at a distance.
Yeah.
In the acquisition phase, when it comes to you finding deals, how are you finding them 280 miles away?
Well, I think initially it was a lot of damn hard work, man. Initially there was a lot of trips up to our investment area. I spent, good 3-4 days in a trot there, booking out slots with agents and really getting to know people who are selling, getting to get a feel for the area, knowing who's who in the area. And you know what? It's surprising. Just spending 3 or 4 days in a certain area, you get to know a lot of stuff, man. You get to know who the big boy investors are, who's buying up a lot of the stuff, and just driving around, looking at construction sites, seeing what's going on, you realize that, yeah, okay, people are doing certain things in a certain way. But initially, it was kind of very, very difficult, man. Initially, it was very difficult. I spent a lot of time in the area trying to work out what was going on. And then even after I'd found the area that I was looking at, I still had to try and find people that I could trust. Now, that was the biggest thing. It's all good knowing how you can do this, but you've had this past experience in the past where you've had a PM and your project manager's been, not so good, or promised you certain things and hasn't delivered. So when you're investing from far, it's always those kind of fears that kick in. But in answer to your question, initially, yes, I spent a lot of time in this bloody area, away from home, staying in hotels, and just, I remember at one point just looking at this in the hotel, I'm sitting there thinking, why the hell am I doing this, man? Why don't I just go somewhere closer to home? And then I thought, no, if I get over this initial pain here, this initial pain barrier, I know I can make this work because I know people that have done in the past. So that's how I found my investment spot by spending a lot of time there initially myself to begin with.
Okay. And I think I'm the same. Spent time there, got to know people, went to networking events, did digital networking, spoke to every agent. When you get friendly with agents, they also tell you who are the big people in the area, who do you know in common, who do they not like, who do they like, things like that. So again, it's people, like having that relationship and spending the time on that relationship means that you get the knowledge that is kind of behind the scenes. You can go on Google, research an area, you can walk along it, you can have these top level conversations, but when you find out what goes on behind it, that's when you really find an area and understand like what the area is like, what it's about, how things go on, what the local culture is, what roads not to invest in, what roads to invest in. And, it's one of these things when you're starting out, go there for a week, go there for a month, depending on your flexibility and your like ability and time, spend time there and just walk around and be around, because even from like just people on the street, especially in community kind of driven areas, like in places like in the north and things like that, like you just find things out, right? Even from shop owners, like if there's a shop but there's an empty house on the road, go and ask the shop owner, do you know who owns the house? I'd love to convert it into something meaningful. Do you, now that we both know our areas, do you find it hard to find deals, and do you have to still go up, do viewings, come back, go back, or do you get them from your network?
It's pretty much from the network now. So like I said, I spent a lot of time there, and I honestly feel a lot of the agents were vetting me as a person to see what I was like as a character, to see what my personality was like, to see what my, you know, what my ethics were all about, and how was I, you know, I'm a Southerner coming into a community, like you said, it's a community that's quite tight. Every investor knows each other. Now I'm trying to break into this community. Now, lucky for me, I was quite well recepted. You know, I came in, people took me, you know, I went out for dinners with people, I had lunch with people, and I got on with people, you know. The personality was there to have a relationship with these people. And I think that's what got me the trust. I didn't go in thinking, oh yeah, I've bought houses in the past where I've paid more on flipping stamp duty than you're selling this property for. I didn't give it all that nonsense, you know, because at the end of the day, I've got that thing where I respect people, I care about people, and, you know, I'm bothered about what they think. So I spent a lot of time seeing what these agents were about, you know, talking to the agent. Have you got a family? You know, have you got kids? How are you? How do you find your job? How is it up here? I wanted to know a lot more about them as a person, because you forget, these agents, man, they're human beings as well. How many people walk through the door every single day and say, well, I'm a big shot investor from down south. You got any deals, mate? Loads of people must be ringing them up, and they must be thinking, oh, I'm not one of those southern pricks again, you know? So I knew straight away that we had to build a relationship with these people, and that's exactly what I did. And, you know, to start with, yes, I was having to look at stock online, on auctions, and I realized at auctions very early on that my business model was totally different from somebody up in the investment area, because I realized they're quite stringent on their criteria. They won't move £500 or £600 either way. Whereas, you know, for me down south, it was okay. I would go a little bit higher because I'm getting the yields, I'm getting the percentages. So where, for example, they might only go to 75 grand or 76 grand at a particular auction, I could go an extra couple of grand, so I knew I was going to win it. So the first place I ever bought at auction, I knew at least 10 people were going for it, but I won it because I could go that extra. And I thought to myself, these guys won't even budge 250 quid. You know, so I realized early on that I had that slight advantage. But I think now what's happened now is, because I've got into a kind of a set crowd now, I'm in with a few agents, and they know I don't bullshit them. If I say I'm going to buy something, I'm going to buy it. I'm now being offered stuff, which is great position to be in, man, because I know people are trying to get into that investment area and they're looking at Rightmove. And do you know what? I have never looked at Rightmove for any of my deals in this particular area, because I feel the minute it's gone to Rightmove, it has been rejected. You know, it's been rejected by a few investors. That's not to say you don't find deals on Rightmove that you can value add to, that you can convert and make more kind of, you know, money out of, or make them into something special. But my honest opinion is, if you're getting a real damn juicy deal, it's coming to you before it's even reached the open market. An agent's called you and he said, James, I've got these coming to market. They're right by the university. Do you want them? I can get them for you. And my answer is yes. Give me as many as you got, man. I'll take the lot. Because it's all about relationship building. And people still say to me today, they say, how the hell did you get in with that agent? It's taken me 10 years and he still won't offer me stock. And it's like, well, maybe you just don't know how you're talking to him, you know. Take an interest in the guy. I bet you don't even know his surname. I bet you don't even know the name of his kids. I bet you don't even know what car he drives, you know. So start taking an interest in people, and you'll find agents are human beings. The minute they give you their mobile number and you've got them on WhatsApp and you're exchanging conversation, you're at a totally different level with them. You've bypassed every other buyer, and you've got a real special relationship where they're going to start offering you. So now, very, very rarely do I go and look for a deal. A deal comes to me, and then there's even been times where I haven't even viewed them and I've just bought them. But, you know, recently I've decided it's probably a good idea to view stuff just in case there's a massive crack or it's going to fall down. But, you know, that's the kind of trust level I've got with the agent, that I would take it on what he says.
Yeah, I think that's a great point there, is focus your time, because you have limited time up there. Focus it on what is going to bring you more results, which is not necessarily viewings and meeting loads of agents, or it could be finding a few and actually focusing on the person, like James said. And I agree. I've had the same thing, the same sort of response when you focus on the person. I think when you start out, you know, when you're on a viewing, for example, you need to look at the house, of course, because you're less experienced. You're going to miss stuff that could be more costly. But over time, and I got a chapter on this in my book, over time, it switches. You know, at the start, it's like 80% on the property, 20% on the agent. Now, it's like 80%, 90% on the agent when I go to a viewing. And then it's like, yep, 10% on the property, because you just know, oh, same shit, same issue. Yep, seen it, or 15 grand refurb. Yeah, done. And you kind of know, and you have your contingency, you know what you're doing, but you're focusing on the agent because he or she is going to bring you those deals. You know, what you said about Rightmove is interesting. I think those deals that make it to Rightmove are where deal sources source all their deals from. No, kidding. But if you, I think you can source. I think, yeah, I'm not really, no. I think you can source on Rightmove. I bought 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think I bought 5 out of 15 deals, and they were on the market. Whether I got a discount because of my agent relationship is a different story, but I have found stuff on Rightmove and bought it, and it works. But I get what you're saying. Of course, you want to be pre-Rightmove, and that will only come with agent relationships, right? I think, you know, to kind of maybe go on another side of what you're saying, even sometimes with agents, they, you know, a deal will come online or a deal might be shown, and unless you can view it within a few hours or same day, or get someone to view it, it's gone. I'm sure we've all experienced this. And of course, if you don't live locally and you don't have someone who can do viewings literally on demand, you can miss some great deals that are online because of the time. You know, I've said, can I view something? Yeah, sure. Next day, 10 a.m. Sorry, Tej, all viewings cancelled, it's gone.
See, the way I get around that is if I'm really hungry for a thing and I'm miles away and I can't get up and see it, I will tell the agent, look, go to site, get me on FaceTime and walk me around this video. So you are showing me the thing, and I will take it. I will take it based on what you're showing me on the thing. And that way, you know, look, let's face it. If you've had an offer agreed, when you do physically view it, if there's something drastically wrong, you still got time to sort that shit out, you know?
Yeah.
But for me, you got to be ready to, you know, you got to be ready to commit. When a hot deal comes along, you can't be sitting there thinking, oh man, what if this doesn't work out? What if this doesn't happen? Get those what ifs out of it. You still got a period of time where you can, you know, negotiate further if you need to, or you can address issues between the time of your offer being accepted and you exchanging contracts. You still got a long period of time where you can sort shit out. Commit first and then work the rest out later.
Yeah, I think, you know, someone said on Instagram, and I guess it's a good question as well, is why do we choose to invest afar? I think for me, probably similar to yourself, it's we can do stuff in London where we live, but holding a buy to let in zone 4, zone 5, you know, kind of places we live, it just, the yield for our sort of BRR, the yield is not there. You know, I don't think you can pull out a huge amount of money unless you're doing a new build like James did. You can't just buy single lets here and just boom, pull out everything, go again. So for me, it's like I get the same, and then actually if you listen to the last episode, you'll hear this. Me and James get the same ROI on his London new build rental as I do in the middle of bloody forest 200 miles away. It's the same percentage return. So it might be less money, but the percentage return is the same. Therefore, it makes more sense to do it there because I can get money from an investor, do it, pull it out, go again, or return it and then go again. So for me, yes, there are options, which I'm going to be exploring in a few months when I move to a different part of London. But yeah, for me, it just makes so much sense and the deals are unmatched. James? Same?
No, I agree with you. I mean, I've got bits going on in London. I haven't got anything at the moment, but you know, to give you an example, when I was doing my new build, one of the things that I really suffered on was cash flow, and I needed to address that. Hence the reason why I started a major project while I had my new build going on up in my new patch, because I knew the new build, what a new build does is just sucks you of money, man, straight up. You know, you see a big pot of cash, it just sucks you, and there's nothing coming in for ages. You know, even when it's built, it's going to take ages before it's let. You've got all the certificates signed off, you got everything done. So I knew that I needed to invest in an area where I could get high cash flow for a relatively small outlay, and I identified that area, and now that's what I do. You know, I know purely that my patch in the north, it ain't going to increase like London. You know, I mean, some of the things I own up there are the cheapest in the portfolio, but they just, you know, they net so well when you look at them, and they give you such little amounts of fucking issues and problems. And I look at them on paper, I think, I haven't had an issue with this thing for 7 months. Nothing. And even if I had have an issue, it's been addressed by the agent and they've just invoiced me for it. And when you look at the invoice and you think, huh, that's a bit cheap, isn't it? You know, obviously I'll never say that to them, but you think that is a bit cheap. But cash flow strategy is my strategy up north. Down in London is my capital appreciation strategy. And that is the reason why I went up north, because I identified very early on that I needed cash flow alongside my strategy here in London.
James, Lemon Street Property says, James, how did you decide on the area 280 miles away before going up there? Here's what I want to reframe that question, because I get asked it all the time.
It was pretty easy.
And there's a lot of generic answers, strong rental, strong sales, blah, blah, blah. Have you got a particular reason that's non-generic?
Well, yeah, I'll tell you how I did mine, yeah? You're going to find this quite funny. I went onto Google and I typed in a search bar, highest yielding areas in the UK. Simple. A list came up. I explored all the areas and I picked the area that worked for me. That was my research.
What you said works for you. What does that mean?
Well, I picked the highest one.
So you went on a list and said, number one.
Yeah, but you know,
Fine.
Don't get me wrong. There was stuff on that list that was Article 4. There was a lot of stuff on there where you needed serious planning. So I was able to quickly cross that list out. And then when I did find the area that I wanted, bang, it was there. You know, I went off and did what I needed to do. How was it for you? How did you find your area?
But, did I even go on a list like that? Yeah, so I did a list like that.
You used a sourcer, didn't you?
I did use a bad sourcer for the first deal. And then, but it wasn't like him. It was literally the fact that I did research beforehand. You know what I did? I think I looked at people like in different areas showing the deals they got on social media. And then I looked at a list like James did. I looked at a map and said, what's close? What's this? But honestly, it was like, it's generic, strong sale, strong rental. You can do BRR. It's like everyone thinks there's like the golden area. And it's like, no, there's like there's quite a few areas you can do BRR and then pull all your money back out. And I haven't got the best area. I think Liverpool is probably one of the best, if not the best areas to invest right now and for the next X many years. But everyone thinks there's some, you know, just because you make it work there, I make it work here, she makes it work in London. That's because we're making it work. It's not because the area is special. But of course, you know, you go into Earl's Court, you're probably not going to get a BRR. But you go to Manchester, well, you might do, you know, compared to say somewhere like Earl's Court, that's like prime London. So, James, like, how do we manage? Like, do you have any systems? Do we have any systems or processes in place to make our life easier, or that we should put in place when we're investing from afar?
Number one, I am a very, very, very strong fan of project managers. I think project managers are a must, you know, and I think we are joined by a project manager online today. I can see him. And
hello.
He's not even looking at the camera. My man's just having a coffee looking at his screen. I can see him right now. He's got a shiny bald head as well. Anyway, he's not listening. So I think a project manager is an absolute must, yeah, for me, especially being that far away, because, you know, you look at it on figures and you think, oh my God, he's going to charge me 10% or 12% or 15% or whatever he's going to charge you. And, you know, you think I could save that cost. But it's a false economy, man, you know, because when something goes badly wrong, your project manager's there, man. He's almost like your counselor. He knows about it before and he's addressed it before he's even come to you and told you the problem. That's what I found with my project manager. Now, the weird thing was, my project manager actually interviewed me, which was great. I thought this was fantastic because he needed to know that he wasn't working with a prick. No smart jokes there, Tej, all right? And stop with the filters before you start with these filters. And
I'm not putting filters on IG, don't worry.
Okay. So you need to, I think you need to interview your project manager needs to interview you. You need to know that you're going to get on because you're into this for a long time, you know. It's like a relationship when you find yourself a girlfriend, a husband, a wife, a husband, whatever. You know, there's a certain kind of criteria, or you might see if you get on as people. And I think you need to do the same with a PM. I'm a massive, massive, massive fan of PMs because they save you so much hassle. They save you so much shit. And if you've got a really, really good project manager, my God, this guy is going to be able to predict the costs on a project almost down to the nearest 100 quid. And I recently met someone like that. I had a late night call with someone who could tell me how many bloody screws we needed for a door frame, you know? So there are some project managers out there that are absolutely fantastic, man. Like really know their shit inside out. And like Ted has had experience, there are some bad ones. But if you're investing any more than, I say, 150, 200 miles away, you know, I would have a project. You know what? Forget that. Scrap that. I'd have a project manager if I was 100 miles away.
Oh, so decisive, decisive.
You, on the other hand, are a tight ass, so you probably haven't got a project manager, have you?
No, I haven't, because most of the ones I've spoken to
ass.
are shite. They're not actually project managers. I even work with a PM who was a PM as his day job for construction, and he was a tool. Get it? So I think, yeah, don't worry. Tough crowd. So, like, I think that I agree with the premise. You need a good project manager. Now, if I had a project manager like you did, would I work with them? Yes. But in order for me now I've reached a point where I'm like, you know what? This is bullshit. I can't be asked dealing with this anymore. I want to focus my time on other stuff. It was cool before, like it was fine. But now I want to do some flips in London. I am like, fuck this stuff. So I basically am going to reach out to some of my friends in my investment area who are also investors and say, look, give me an hourly rate. Just give me something. Give me your cost as a human to check up on things. I don't need them necessarily to like actually manage. I don't need them to necessarily be like, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you doing that? I need them to be my eyes on the ground and to essentially allow me to send a text saying the right thing in the right kind of way. And to keep up with progress and to make sure that things are being done the right quality, you know, to be my eyes and my hands on the ground to feel, you know, touch the wall. Does the kitchen thing open, or is it just looking like it's going to open? Are the doors actually commissioned? So I think there's other ways to do it, but I'm not opposed to, you know, paying 10% as long as I can see the value and it's like totally hands off, and I'm yet to experience that. And yeah, I mean, I guess refurb for me is the most fun part of property. So I kind of like to be involved in that sense, but with something like construction, you do need someone human physically there to see it, because videos and pictures are never, ever, ever going to show you the same as what it is in real life. And I've experienced that, you know, I've seen pictures and said, okay, that looks okay. I got there and I was like, oh, okay, cool. This is shite. And like, you know, even with agents, like I've had letting agents who just don't tell me stuff that was wrong in the house. And then I get a new letting agent after I fired the shit ones. And they were like, Ted, do you know X, Y, Z? Like, I'm talking about a door not being hung, just laying against a wall. And this agent had viewings 2 months, didn't tell me anything. And then the new one comes in, he's like, Tej, someone take the door off. I was like, fuck's sake, builder, go fix it. You went and fixed it. But I was like, bruv, like no wonder you didn't bloody let the house out, you shit agents. So, and they actually came referred.
You know what,
well.
Ted, sorry, just to add to that, Ted, you know where you said it's very much hands off. Now, let me give you an example. So my most recent project that I finished up in our spot, I spotted it in an auction catalogue. I bought it on the phone. I didn't even attend the auction. So it's going back a few months. Bought it. The first time I viewed this place was when I met my PM on site. I viewed this place. So that's the first time I've been to site. The second time I went to site was kind of like halfway in. Sorry, no, just start of the build. Third time I went to site when the build was coming to the end. And the fourth time I went to site was when we did some photographs. So 4 times I went to site, and this was a back to brick renovation, a major renovation. We had to build a support wall. We did a whole loft extension, 6 en suites, heating systems, everything. Everything was redone in this house, windows, brand new. Dude, the guy did everything for me in the sense of getting all the quotes. He beat up all the builders on prices as well. And you know what? He had a lot of issues. He had some serious issues. But one thing he didn't do was make them my issues. Every time I spoke to my PM, he had a massive smile on his face, and he was always so positive and upbeat. And you know what? That's what you want from a PM. You know, you're paying a guy to take this stress away from you. And I always say that was one of my most enjoyable constructions, because I had to do 𝗰𝗸𝗆. The only mistake I made with that was not putting into the scheme of work there, or scope of work, that I needed him to kind of finish everything off. So I'm talking like hang the TV, put the kind of soft furnishings in place. But I'm definitely doing that this time round, because that takes some time to do, and I want to put that in the scope of works. But other than that, man, what a guy to work with. And every time I do see him, it was more so being about social, having a bit of lunch, discussing the next project, and just having a laugh generally. So it was nice meeting up with my PM. And I know he had some serious issues where he had a builder walk off on site. Someone left the roof open while it was raining, you know, issues with finding tiles, issues with finding all kinds of shit. There was major issues. But what did he do? He resolved the issues, then told me about the issue. And I was like, whoa, I never knew about that. And his response was, it's not your job to know about it. It's my job to fix it, then tell you how I resolved it.
Tell them. I love that. That is the sign of a good project manager. Now, someone said in the chat here, where do you find a good project manager? And I you know, it's not the same as where do you find a builder, where do you find an agent. I think for me,
there's a lot of networking,
yeah, because I don't know, they don't necessarily seem to come to networking events. They don't seem to advertise their service. I don't know, like I just find it difficult to like spot them, like, or even find them. So I mean, I think sourcers project manage their own projects, but they're not project managers unless they are by trade or by training. So you could speak to a sourcer and say, would you PM this? But don't expect them necessarily to actually project manage it. Expect them to just take money and do some admin and send pictures. But some will actually manage it well. James, one thing which we haven't sort of touched on is the emotional side of investing far from home, because I think you've had a PM who we both know, we both trust, and I would work with him as well. And like, so you were kind of more shielded perhaps. But I think from my experience, because I'm sort of hands-on phone, I feel like a lack of control. So quite distinctly, I would say, especially like this week and weeks when these things happen, you're like, you know, like little jobs sometimes, you're like, you know what, if it was local, I'd go do it myself. It would take me 15 minutes. I'm not a skilled tradesman, but I can do some stuff. Or if there was like, you know, an issue of snagging or needing to look at the property before paying, I would just pop over and look. I would say, don't send me pictures. I'll just pop over. Or when things happen, now I've got this leak and I need to go get someone to fix it. I'm like on my phone trying to do it. And I know that's the modern way of being and it should be normal to us, but I think you really feel a lack of control because you just can't go there, meet someone there. You can't look at it yourself. You know, you can't sort of assess it. If there's some rubbish in a garden that needs clearing, I would chuck it in my boot and go to the, like, there's little things that you could do so much quicker than someone else. And that when they're happening, you really feel a lack of control because you're like, and it's strange because you don't need to physically be somewhere to be in control. But honestly, I think for me, the biggest stress is lack of control. We've got carpet fitters coming in tomorrow. I haven't seen pictures of the floors today. Are they ready? Why are you not responding? Like things like that no one talks about. And no one talks about on property courses or any training is how out of touch you can feel. And look, I like to be in control and I feel like I need to be in control. If you're someone who's a bit more casual and maybe doesn't, then maybe you won't feel this stress. Maybe you'll feel a different stress. But for most of us as entrepreneurs and CEOs and the ones who are controlling everything happening, you know, it really, the distance can really fuck with your mind. And I haven't got a technique or a strategy to deal with it apart from just general, you know, stress, exercise, eat well, all that kind of stuff we covered already on a different podcast. I think you either sort of get used to it or it eats you up, or you just say, I'm not investing from far anymore, or you find someone local to help you, or, you know, it really will upset you and affect you when you have a lack of control, especially when things go wrong. When it's good, you're like, well, I don't give a shit if I'm not in control. But the second it goes wrong, you're like, oh, fuck's sake, I'm so far. And you're not getting in the car. You're not going to go 200 miles for like one thing. You're going to wait days to get someone over to fix it, to find someone to blah, blah, blah. So that's something that's not spoken about. But oh my God, trust me.
I think the bottom line is you got to work out, are you a property investor or are you a bloody builder? Do you want to be on site? Do you want to be doing these little things? Get that right in your head. If you're a property investor, then you should just be investing in properties. You should have tradespeople doing stuff for you. Everybody should be doing something for you. You know, for me, this HMO project that starts in 2 weeks down the road, dude, I could walk there. It's 300 meters away. Am I getting my hands dirty? No, because I'm not making that mistake of working in my own project. I want to work on my projects. I want to be oversighting everything and working on multiple sites. I don't want to be there in my builder's boots. Look, I'm perfectly capable with my hands. You know, I can do things. I can do a lot of things, and I have done in the past, but I'm not planning to do anything in this one apart from walking in there a few times a week and making sure shit's done. Because I'm an investor. I'm not a builder. I don't want to be someone who goes in there and paints stuff or does that. I want to be looking at the schedule of work. I want to be looking at costings. I want to be looking at how things are moving along. Are they moving along nicely? I want to be knowing, okay, we're getting towards the end now. Have I started my refinance process? Have I got the correct licenses in place? All that shit that is important stuff that we forget about. That's the stuff I want to be working on. And I think if you're not one of those people, then, you know, you need to make it's a long, hard decision, because if you're going to try and manage it yourself and you're going to be going there all the time doing work, all you're doing is creating yourself a job, and you might as well just stay in your 9 to 5.
But sometimes I disagree totally. Sometimes you have to go and do stuff because, for example, you got carpet fitters coming tomorrow, the builder's fucked off, and you need to pick stuff up off the floor. And it's Monday and they're coming on Tuesday. I would do that. I don't give a shit. I'm not going to call the carpet fitter.
Why has that not been done prior to the carpet fit? See, if you had a project manager, you would know this. Project manager would have said,
I've had a project manager. Nope, I've had a project manager.
A good project manager.
Oh yeah, of course. If I had a good project manager, which in itself is a mammoth task, then yes, this wouldn't happen. I agree. I absolutely agree. But okay, let's say, let's just argument's sake, a project has gone swimmingly, but we're at literally that point before carpets, and the builder's left some crap on the floor, and he's gone on another job. Let's just say this, right? I would rather spend an hour chucking some stuff out of the way, right? Than have paid a project manager £1,000 for a project that went swimmingly without them. Does that make sense? Now, often this is what I have. So when we have a project, normally it's this last 10% that something goes wrong in, right? And I get, you could say, oh, but pay £1,000 just for the last 10%. I'm not going to do that, right? And so, but at the end of the day, I don't actually go there. My point is this, that I feel because I couldn't just go and do something little and get it resolved and get the carpets in a week earlier and get rental a week earlier and pay my investors a week earlier, which still costs hundreds or thousands of pounds depending on what you invest. I would, if it was down the road, do something small like that. But because I'm not, I'm forced more to be what you're saying. But my instinct is, if there's a small thing that needs to be done, I'm gonna fucking do it, because like it's my business. And at this stage where shit needs to get done and every day costs money, I will do it. But I'm not gonna, you know, if it's a whole wall that needs painting, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not gonna fit a kitchen. If one handle fell off, of a kitchen, and my builder said to me, bruv, it's a week till I can get there, I'm gonna fit the fucking handle. I'm gonna go fit it. You know what I mean? So because for me, and we're in different situations, and this is interesting of what like our portfolios and our growth. I'm in that, you know, I would say the early, very startup hustly stage. As much as I've been in it for a year or whatever, and I've got all these properties, it's still in that stage for me. But you know, we have this discussion in 6 months, it won't even be it wouldn't even be a topic of discussion. It would just be, I ain't doing anything. Look at my hands, they're moisturized today. I am not going anywhere.
See, I personally think you're at the point now where you probably need someone full-time on the ground in your investment spot, because you've got multiple projects going on. So for me, it would make logical sense that you have someone on the payroll that's just always there, because you've sometimes got 2-3 projects going on at once. This is very unrare. Well, you know, it's very unlike you not to have something going on, you know? So maybe even on a part-time basis, someone is there full-time looking after your stuff. But yeah, I hear you. I mean, if you're one of those people who's prepared to do stuff yourself, I don't want to do that, because I know what happens. A small thing leads into a big thing leads into a bigger thing. And, you know, before you know it, I'm hanging doors. I can hang a door. I don't want to be hanging doors, you know, or I'm starting to do stuff, and it just takes away from your vision of what you're actually trying to do.
I agree. And it is, you know, the aim is to be a business owner. And yeah, well, I don't know if I'm buying anymore for however long, but once it picks up again, yeah, absolutely. I'm going to speak to people that we know and say, look, you know, how much do I need to pay you to just be my eyes and my ears and my hands on site? So yeah, it's definitely going to happen. I think maybe a closing question is, with our experiences, good and bad, you know, would we recommend that others invest far from home? Or has the experience and the stress, have we had enough and we're like, no, don't do it, people? What do you think? I'm interested.
I wouldn't put anybody off of it, but what I would say is have a look at yourself as a person. You know, look at yourself. Are you one of those people that needs to always be getting involved, or, you know, getting yourself in and making a lot of noise and making stuff worse for people? If you are, don't bother looking at investing from far, because you're gonna send yourself doolally, because you're always going to be thinking about doing stuff. There are ways you can do it, and there's plenty of people. You know, look, take our friends at Maygreen. You know, they live in London. All their HMOs are up in Manchester. They manage them all from a distance. You know, they got certain software in place, and there is certain software in place now that allows you to do that, you know, with the use of VAs, with the use of websites such as OpenRent, Spare Room. You know, you can get yourself seen on Zoopla, you can get yourself seen on Rightmove. So you don't need an agent to start with. Then if you've got a VA and you've got a system and a business model in process there in the background that can unload someone, you know, bring in a new tenant, get them going through the whole process. You've got stuff like Arthur Online as well, which helps you manage tenants. So there's a lot of damn software that can help you do it. It's just, are you prepared to put the legwork in initially? And are you prepared to take, like Ted said, the emotions that sometimes kick in? Because you're like, you could be sitting there at night thinking, oh my God, what the hell's going on? I haven't been able to speak to someone. Is my house still there? I don't even have the neighbor's telephone number. Oh my God, who should I call? What should I do? Should I jump in my car? No, I can't do that. And, you know, you got to be prepared, because it's a bit of an emotional roller coaster at times.
All the time. I agree, and I think when you're, are you laughing at my filter?
Yeah.
I'm just a TV star. Can you let me just be a TV star, please?
I'm going to add one.
All the Homes Under the Hammers didn't get back to me about my 2 properties. Fuckers. I don't watch that show anymore, actually, after that. Waste mans. So, you know what? I think I echo your sentiment, and it is possible, and some of the best deals are going to be far from home. Well, it depends where you live, actually, but some of the best deals may be far from home. You're going to get deals that you couldn't get anywhere else. You are going to have a roller coaster. Look, you know what? In my opinion, with buy-to-lets, it might be different with HMOs, but you, again, are very good at outsourcing, so probably not. When you're growing and you're buying and refurbing, it's busy, it's a roller coaster, shit is crazy. But when you're renting, silence, at least with buy-to-lets. Yeah. I hear nothing. One tenant messaged me the other day saying, can I put a shelf up? And I was like, yeah. And I was like, by the way, does your boyfriend want to clear a garden for me? Like, I've got some work. Yeah, he does. Sorted. That's it. The other one, just checking everything's okay with coronavirus. Done. The other one, I never hear from him. Some leak happened and he went and fixed it. Well, he got a company in to fix it. And I was like, bruv, I'm the landlord. I pay for this. I fix it. Let me. Nothing. Just keeps paying the rent. And this keeps happening. And yes, Corona has had a little bit more of, you know, I've had to kind of be like, how are things going? Do we need to work something out? You know, how can I help you? It's being paid. And they're all generally really nice. I quite like some of the tenants. Some of them I don't talk to that much, but you know, when I now say this to myself, and I was looking at my bank account yesterday and seeing rent. I have not worked in the past month to receive that.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
You could say, yeah, I've had to text it, but that ain't work. But if I text you, it literally is the same. So, you know, as much as the hustle and the grind and the startup is so painful, like it is, grind is such a good word because it fucking grinds you, and it can be soul destroying, right? Especially with builders. But the result, I'm not saying, oh, I'm at my max cash flow yet per houses, or that like I'm financially free, although I am on paper. But in a month or so, when all these refurbs are done, I'm done. You know, yes, there could be tenant problems, but I'm done. And James is the same, you know, and he's making more because he's got HMOs. So, you know,
you know what it is? There's this massive shitstorm to start with, where everything's all over the place, and it's exactly how you said. The minute the tenants move in, A week after, everything settles down, it's nice and quiet, and you're like, oh man, I'm bored now. What should I do? I've got no issues. I've got no problems. So you go and find yourself another problem, don't you? You go and invest in something and start it all back up again. It's weirdly addictive.
It is, and I think like it's, yeah, it is. It is weirdly addictive, but you know what you need to do is what you did, I think, a few episodes back, is just take a break. Like not on a weekend, because that might be your break anyway. Take time on a week, maybe read because you still feel like you're doing something. Because you know us, we need to feel like we're doing something. We need to feel like we're working. Just do something, but take a break. Don't be in the grind of it, you know. Keep that health going. We've got a whole episode on mental health, because without it, like, you will break down and you will not know what to do, and problems become bigger. But at least from mine and James's perspective, and anyone else in this chat who and listening to this who has a portfolio or has had one, I mean, the results kind of, you know, they speak for themselves. You do everything right at the start, including getting a good tenant and agent if you manage, then, you know, fingers crossed, it can be passive. And that is something they do teach you on courses. They do teach you how passive it can be, but that's probably the only thing they teach you. Let's take some questions, because actually we have quite a few questions this time. So let's see, James, we got 2 questions. Yeah, Jasmine says, good project manager should manage, but it's your business. You got to do what you got to do. Yeah, big up yourself. Sandy says, this live is very valuable. Thanks so much. Do you both self-manage your properties yourself once you have the tenants in, or use an agent? I self-manage the single lets. James, what do you do?
I use a managing agent.
Yours are HMOs, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Would you
it's
ever,
for me just
would you ever self-manage a HMO?
I am going to self-manage this London one.
Fine. But that's because it's literally down the road, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But you'd never self-manage a HMO from far away?
Never.
Fine.
I wouldn't. I am not brave. I mean, even Maygreen, they've got an agent.
Yeah,
they manage things from afar,
yeah.
but they have an agent. You know,
they have someone.
It just
on
makes
site, yeah.
things. Yeah.
Perfect. Fine. That is that question answered. Let me see some questions here. Okay. Amardeep says, a question for both. I've recently completed on a small office to HMO conversion in Warrington, Warrington, with the aim of project managing myself. I'm a project manager by trade, although not in construction. I live in Leicester, unfortunately, and we've now had our lockdown extended by a few weeks. What 3 things would you recommend that I do to manage the site remotely, at least for the first few weeks? Fuck the lockdown. It's your business, is what I think someone would say, but I would not say that because I'm a law-abiding citizen.
What did you just answer for me there, did you?
I knew you were going to say, I knew you were basically going to say that, COVID barber. Okay, what 3 things could you do to remotely? For me, I would say the first thing is the builders who are on site, make sure it's crystal clear that you do not pay them until you see clear pictures and videos. Say to them, look, you need you need a photo shoot of every single bit of work they've done before you pay them, and make it like point blank. You will not get paid unless I see videos of this. That's the first thing I would do, is get them on the same page. This is not, oh, I've got a Nokia 6510, I can't send pictures. No, go get a freaking iPhone then. That's my first point. James, what would you say next?
I would say if you are on lockdown, maybe this might be a good time for you to implement some kind of software that allows you to control from a distance. If you haven't already got something, even something as simple as a Trello board that you can set up with your builder. And you know what? Force your builder to use it. They will say to you, I don't like technology. I don't like this nonsense. Get them to install the Trello app on their phone. It's so simple because you can at them, you can at their name and add tasks to them, set deadlines to it. And you know what? You're holding them accountable. They can upload photos to you, so you're keeping a massive log. So when it comes to payment day, they can't say to you, oh, you never told me this, or we never agreed this. No, you lying scumbag. It's here on a bit of paper.
Good. And the third one, just everyone on IG, this live is going to end in 30 seconds. That's why you should join us on Zoom. The third one for me would be, don't expect as much progress as you would have expected if you were project managing it, because if they're used to you being on site, or they're used to having a project manager, and suddenly it becomes digital, they're going to slack. It's like in nature, they're going to slack a little bit more. They may not be there on time because there's no one making sure that they're on time. So as annoying as it is, we'll have to lower our expectations, because they will take the piss. They will sit there on Facebook, and there's nothing you can do about it. But I don't know what the terms and conditions are of this lockdown. And of course, public health and safety is first, clearly shown by Boris Johnson shaking hands, getting corona himself and infecting everyone else in the parliament. Public health and safety is a priority, but it's your business. So, you know, maybe there's some sort of leeway that you can go when it's, I don't know, but it's your business, it's your livelihood. And the government aren't helping you exactly either, are they?
I just want to add one more to that. Don't leave anything to assumption. Don't assume anything, and don't assume that your builder's going to be thinking the same thing as you. And don't even think for 1 minute he's speaking the same language as you, because builders seem to speak a totally different language to everybody else. So don't leave anything to assumption. If you need to draw on a wall or say it needs to be 2 centimeters from the left and 5 centimeters up in a black color, write that down, because they'll do it 5 centimeters from the left, 10 centimeters down in a blue color.
Yep, 100%. Chilena says, when investing further away for the first time, would you recommend working with a PM for the first time, James, or do you need to gain the skills and experience yourself? Personally, I honestly would say do it yourself. If you're going to use a PM, make sure it's a PM who's happy to sort of help you learn, not just a sort of, here's your results. You kind of you don't want to hear the problems, but you kind of do. So I would say if you're using a PM, with the first one, make sure you're kind of a lot more hands-on. You know, if the builder and the PM have a WhatsApp chat, make it into a group and be in it. You know, you don't have to actively do stuff, but I think you have to learn in some way, shape or form. You know what though? I think it's quite good to do it yourself, because when you get a PM who's good, you appreciate them and you are happy to pay them the money, because you're like, fuck me, I know what you're going through. So have my money. That's what I think.
Mm. And that's some good points there. I think it comes back down to what you want from it. Do you want to learn the trade, or do you just want to be investing in property and building a property portfolio? If you do, leave it all up to your PM. If you want to be a little bit more hands-on, maybe shadow your PM, turn up to more site meetings, and like Ted said, be involved in all communication so you know what's going on, so you're not being left out.
Yeah, I agree. Amin says, have you finished the book Deep Work? Have you finished it, James?
No, not yet. Not yet.
Okay, do you recommend it? I finished it, and you know what? I'm one of these people who doesn't like reading a whole book. I love reading, but I don't like reading a whole book to get a few messages, like Rich Dad, Poor Dad, have more assets and liabilities, blah, blah. But I think maybe it's a scientist in me, and because he's a scientist, Cal, the author, he really goes through like a lot of evidence and explains a lot of stuff, and then gives you, you know, 3 or 4 key processes you can implement. I'm someone, you might notice, who's a bit erratic, in a positive way, and my mind is a bit, and I don't like to focus. I'm not very good at focusing. So like I will multitask so much, but this book has given me some techniques and structure to my days that I now feel more fulfilled at the end of the day. It comes to 6 and I'm still working to whatever, but I'm like, okay, dinner time. I'm like, whew, my brain has been fucking used today. Like I feel good. I feel productive, which, as much as I was productive before, I didn't feel that. And you know what? I strongly recommend it. I think it's amazing. James, you're sort of partway through it. Would you echo that?
Yeah. No, it's a great book, man. Learning some really deep things. And like you, man, I know it from people I've spoken to, they've really said that it's helped them to just focus their attention when they're working and just be in deep work. So yeah, I'm looking forward to finishing it off, but I'm taking my time with it.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. I think that covers all the questions. Thank you everyone for joining us today. And again, we need to say this at the beginning of the podcast, James, but we never do.
Please do take a screenshot of this and share it on your socials and tag us both in. So yeah, we'll just give you a little smile if anybody wants to take a screenshot.
Please do. We need to have this written on our freaking foreheads so we see it the first time when we start the podcast, because
I think we should have an intro scheme that just kind of waits there for a minute and it has all the stuff on it.
We need an intro for the property duo. We need like a skit. Done.
We need a jingle. We should sing it ourselves.
Oh, let's do it. Let's auto-tune it. Let's use a T-Pain app.
Yeah.
I'm in love.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Let's T-Pain the intro. 100%. We're doing it. I don't care. We're doing it. It's going to sound crap, but we're doing it. Right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today on the Property Duo, the 2 people in property who talk about property and other stuff. Next week, I'm going to be joining you live from my serviced accommodation because I'm staying there next week in my investment area because Airbnb is closed in my investment area for some reason. It's literally off. So my essay, honestly, is pretty freaking nice. So I'll take you around a tour of it and we'll talk about something. We'll talk about something then. So
yeah, and just off the back of that, Tej, I think what we should do, because you're showing them something nice. As soon as I've got the building works that starts in this rogue HMO, I'd love to take everybody around with a camera and just show you what can happen to your house when you haven't got a great agent, and you'll see how bad it is. And yeah, I feel kind of really embarrassed about it, but I think people need to see what can happen if you have a dodgy agent.
If we can be less distanced and my coronavirus police of a girlfriend lets me, let's come and let's film it on an SLR and do a proper Herms under the hammer in your house. Proper.
Mate, we could even interview the tenants that are moving out for the experiences that they've had.
Woohoo! Ooh, this is sick. All right, see everyone next week. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.